I'm happy to announce our next topic for today. It's called the opportunities in a world of data ecosystems powered by digital twins and data spaces. So what is this all about? So number one, this is about something which makes your life as a proud member of the automotive supply chain easier. That's the first point. The second part is it's about something which is real, which has been tested, which has been validated, and we have demonstrated that it works. So it's not something far out in the future. And we as a team, we consider this as nothing less than a full upgrade of the data communication network. So why we need this upgrade? We all know the supply chain is super complex. So Volkswagen Group has 40,000 suppliers. Bosch is one of them. Bosch has 25,000 suppliers. And it goes on and goes on with 220 plants. So we cannot afford to create new data all the time and establish nitty-gritty small connections in that network. We cannot afford that. This is why we need to come together and solve that challenge as a large team. And what we need for that? We need three things. So one thing is thanks Ulrich. One thing is a fully digitized ecosystem. Something in which you tap to really get a great potential out of it, which is Catena-X. Has been founded in 21, launched in 2022 and went live, I think, in the middle of 2023. So it's up and running, it is ready. So now think a little bit about it. I'm from Deutsche Telekom, T-Systems. In the ancient times, we had a connector. And in order to tap into that data network, you need a connector. And Ulrich is going to tell us more about the connector part. That small thing you tap somewhere in the wall to get connected into something. That's what you need. And finally, who knows what you need on top of it in the old times? The phone book. You need a phone book. You remember the yellow pages? You can beat up the neighbor or people in your family who are not adhering to your rules, or you put weight on something. The big fat phone book. That's exactly what you need. And this is what we are presenting today, because we developed the phone book for the digital data network. It's a distributed digital twin registry. It's a little bit more complicated than the yellow pages, but this is something we bring together today. And why us and Bosch? Deutsche Telekom is the leading digital telco. Did you know that amongst the top 10 valuable brands in the world, Deutsche Telekom is ranking number 9? So just 8 ahead of us, so it's quite some way to go, but we're super proud on being in the top 10 here. And we know our way around connectivity and software in the automotive industry. We've been there for decades. So and Bosch is the leading tier 1, and Bosch industry knows exactly how to connect in the world out there. And this is why I'm talked already a lot about digital twin. I want to ask Ulrich. Ulrich, what is a digital twin? And what's all of this about? Please welcome Ulrich on stage here.
Thank you. So I hope everyone can hear me. That's awesome. That's great. So when we now look into the challenges of why we need to look into phone books, right? Got this one here. It was a standard, first of all, right? And it was such a standard. Yesterday evening, I found it in that famous cable thing. Every one of us has in the cellar, right? I've got this one. You never know when you're going to need it. But now we're in the 21st century, and all of us, who are sitting here, are here because we are convinced that the mass of data we have at our fingertips in our companies, the data around our products we deliver, from the engineering phase to the manufacturing phase to when it's out there, that we need to get that data, that treasure chest of data lifted in order to improve our database, our data-driven decisions, to make our processes more efficient, to make new business models based on that data. So in the end, that means we need to look at how can we get hands of that data, how can we find that data, so how we can make that plug thingy and the telephone book thingy working for a big amount of data. And there are some challenges to that. The first challenge is when we use the phone, it's like, hey son, hey mom, how are you doing, what are you doing? Right, that was about the information. Look at that scenario here. Somebody plugged it in the wall on that chip, looked up where the emergency call is, and he just said, Mayday, we're sinking. right? I'm German, I can make that joke. Yeah, what are you thinking about? The thing here is they exchanged information, but they did not exchange the meaning of that information properly. So that is the key to everything we do in data systems and ecospaces. It's no longer the metal plugged to the wall, but it's the freaking information we need to understand that data without talking to the source of that data. And that means we must put context information, meaning to that data. Just look at, if you want somebody, I would like to ask somebody, give me your PCF. And the famous answer to everything is 42, right? That works on everything. But I don't know if 42 like really like the kilograms per PCOE energy. Is it like volume X? Is it just a page on a PDF page where that information is written? We do not know. And that is why we actually introduce digital twins into our data spaces. The first and the most important thing is to have for every domain-specific information we want to exchange in data spaces something we call small information models with aspects which can provide data in domain-specific, semantically described, meaningful way, interpretable for machines and for domain experts, provide that as a form of API. And by the way, that API has kind of a phone number, so it can be listed in a new phone book, to be found, to be called. And you do that for every kind of domain-specific information you need. And then the twin, the digital twin is just the silly thing which tells everyone, I represent a vehicle, a car, a component, a machine, anything in that one, and I know about my tiny information models, my APIs, which you can call. And that is the key concept. The new standard is not the metal pin. New standards are like creating digital twins in that scenario for your assets and enrich them with semantically described aspects where you can get that data integrated again. And the great thing about that one is that it is brutally extendable and scalable. If there's somebody having a business relevant question, well, just look if there's already an aspect existing for your twin. If not, go to the people, invent one. If you need new products, new types of products, anything in there, just create new twins. The solution pattern, the tech architecture keeps working. And I know what I'm talking about. We've got hundreds and hundreds of millions of twins already operationally productive running in a way which is conform to the Catena-X network. So this is the new connector and telephone book. It's not just a phone number, it's information about context of information, where you can get it, call per API for the products you need without going to the source in a freaking scalable way. So now you learned that I'm obviously a tech guy, so why should I talk about business benefit? That's totally unbelievable. I need help for that one. And then I call in Karin, and I put it to her to talk to you about what the benefit of that one is.
Go ahead. Thank you, Ulrich. So can you hear me well? Okay, perfect. So please do me a favor. Close your eyes for a minute. Close your eyes. And please remember the supply chain crisis we had during the pandemic. Maybe you experienced this. Maybe your colleagues, maybe your company. And remember the tons of work you or your colleagues invested. And then please think of what we have ahead of us. Please think of the decarbonization of our value chain. And then I have one question for you. Who can solve this alone? Who can solve this as lonely hero? I believe no one can solve this as lonely hero. What we need in this industry is a radical collaboration across the value chain. And collaboration on what? On standards, on what we agree, on data models, and on a technical framework, how we exchange data in a sovereign and trustworthy way. So let's talk about business value. And business value is, we are engaged in data spaces as Bosch. And why we are engaged? We see data spaces as one element for scaling data exchange with our partners. And scaling is very close connected with business value. So when we go to the quality domain, for example, let's take a quality example. In recent days, we got data, we got a part and we analyzed a faulty part very reactively. It took a lot of time, very time consuming. Nowadays, we analyze data very proactively, and we can detect a faulty part before before the fault basically appears. So we save time, we save money, and we increase customer satisfaction because your car is not broken in the middle of the motorway. So this is one example, and how we implement this based on agreed standards within data spaces like Catena-X. Another example, I talked about our value chain, supply chain resilience. How do we get there without troubleshooting? So today we already pilot to exchange data and bottleneck situation, actual inventory data and delivery data. Why? To synchronize production. So just imagine you can synchronize production throughout the value chain. That would be a massive step forward. And how? Because we agree on joint data models and standards. Another example, I talked about the decarbonization of our value chain. So this is, again, a massive step where you need to exchange data within the whole value chain, from the start of the material to the finished good. How do we do this? Currently, it's very difficult. It's very painful. Many people are involved in this topic. And you have the problem that there are different accounting methods. So you need standards on which you agree, and you need the technical puzzle pieces to scale the data that you transfer along the value chain. And now the question is, so business value, there's immense business value in all three use cases I talked about. But the question is how to implement this now. Which technical puzzle pieces do we need? So Chris, I think you are expert for that.
Very good. Good. Excellent. Can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? Very good, very good. So, who has heard about a data space before coming here? Hands up. Who has one? Who has one? Why would anybody need one? Well, we deliver an example, product carbon footprint, right? So if you want to have a conversation with your daughters, your kids in the evening, well, you got to move on CO2 emissions. How do you do that? How do you solve the problem? And what are the problems even? What are the two problems in CO2 emission footprint calculation? What are those? CO2, does anybody know CO2, product carbon footprint? So the one is the actual calculation of it. So for your product, you have to calculate the value. And now to the extent that your product is composed of parts, what do you need for those parts? You need the values for your parts. So the calculation part is on you. You can order that, right? Your troops will do it. What do you do with the values for your parts? How do you get those? How do you do those? Well, here's the answer. Of course, no. The guy, dataspace and digital twins. And that's exactly what we did, right? So that is not vaporware. So what we did is, right, we went to the biggest stage. We went to the CES this year in Las Vegas. So we went to screw up. That's the right stage to screw up. We didn't. What we demonstrated was that you can, with today's data space technology, with today's digital twins, you can solve this second part of the PCF problem, which is obtaining data for the parts of your product. And that is in the industry referred to as Scope 3 data. Has anybody heard that before? Scope 3 data? Scope 3 data? Scope 3 data, right? And then today, have you asked your bosses how we solve the Scope 3 data problem today? Do you know how you're going to solve this today? You go to a database, go to some catalog, you fake it, right? People don't like to hear this, but that's what you do. And in the industry, that's called secondary data. But there's new regulation coming, which is putting pressure on every supply chain out there to switch from the secondary to primary scope 3 data. And that is a big challenge. Or it used to be a big challenge, but the answer now is you can use data space technology and digital twins. And the example brings out the beautiful value add of a digital twin. The one advantage is that it helps you coordinate across the tiers of a supply chain. It does that automatically. All the participants are subscribing to the same type of digital twin. So if you go with a data ecosystem such as Catena-X, all you have to do, you follow the specifications coming with Catena-X. And that works across all the tiers. And if you stick to Catena-X, the way it's been implemented, you can later on stick other use cases into the same infrastructure, into your same data space digital twin infrastructure, like circular economy, like product pass, battery pass, quality, and so on and so forth. So, now where do you get this? How do you order this? Well, I think I hand over to our guy, Christian. I think he'll explain how to get your hands on this. Yeah.
Thank you. So, I hope you're all pumped up about data spaces right now and connectors. So that's how you should be. So how do you feel about data spaces? How do you feel about data spaces? Okay, it's getting better right now. So I tell you right now how you get there. First of all, three things again. Catena-X, we talked already about it. But please think about it. It's a network. And a network value is increasing by joiners. For you, the fringe benefit to join that network is massive. It's massive. You will meet your partners and you will find new partners. So come and join us and get a partner of that network to contribute to the value. And by the way, if you're still struggling how your corporate strategy is fitting to the Catena-X activities, to data space activities, book an onboarding workshop with us. We will map your strategy against the digital prerequisites, and we will map also the most important use cases for you and also the most pressing one. And if you like, we go all the way into the data centers and check backend readiness. So which kind of data you need to shuffle forward under which format. So that's an interesting exercise to do. Number 2, you need a connector. You need to get access to the applications and you need to get access to the digital twins. And there's 3 ways how to connect. So we have a connector which is very basic. You can, in principle, by a click of a button, upload an Excel spreadsheet, CSV files, very easy, very convenient. And the second part is a little bit more elaborate, where we call it integrate and connect, where you have a selection of use cases. You select the use case and then you get a recommendation also. What kind of digital twin registry should you use? And that should be the one from Ulrich. Because that digital twin registry is super powerful. Millions, and I confirmed that before, that I'm not saying a wrong number, millions of digital twins are available at the click of a button because you need to navigate through the massive supply chain and find the right data parts to aggregate them to your PCF footprint. And number 3, if you're a big customer and you need a 24/7 service, we also provide a managed service for that connectivity part and help you with the backend integration. So everything is available and is there. And why is that important? The combination of the connectivity and the digital twin is relevant for many applications. You see a bunch of applications there, being in the development part, the production part, sales after sales, and also the business domains across the product, how the product is maturing, is also very helpful because you have the product as designed, as produced, and as operated, and it's adding data all the time. So once you've done that right, you scale massively. I mean, this is obviously a no-brainer. If you do it in the traditional way, with the individual system, with individual attempts, it's not a team approach, it's not going to work out. This is why we need to partner all together to create the efficiency we need. And if you want to smell and get the right taste for the connectivity part, take a picture of that QR code. That's a Deutsche Telekom webpage where you will find all our connector products and also the digital twin from our Bosch colleagues. And happy to connect, and I want to see the numbers of participants increasing in 48 hours. So thank you all for the presentation. Thank you also, Karin. Thank you also, Chris. And if there are any questions, please feel free to shoot. We are available. If not, come over to the booth and let's talk freely. Thank you.